Tonight, watching and waiting.
I'm asking what's going on. When the last time I talked to her, the house was leaking already from the rain.
Winnipeg's Jamaican community on edge as Hurricane Melissa bears down on the Caribbean nation. Also tonight,
we have had the opportunity to talk to him. It certainly appears that he's still yet to fully process what has happened.
How common are attacks against Winnipeg bus drivers as yet another incident sends a driver to hospital. Plus, water and sewer rates on the rise.
What that would have done is that would have shot water and sewer rates through the roof.
How much more you can expect to pay and why the mayor says it could be worse. Jamaica is on high alert tonight and preparing for the worst as a monstrous Category 4 hurricane is unleashing its full fury on the island nation. It was downgraded from a Category 5 just a short time ago, but Hurricane Melissa is hitting the island with the full force of one of the most powerful hurricanes ever to make landfall in the Atlantic Basin. This video was captured in Montego Bay as the Category 5 hurricane made landfall in New Hope on the island's southeast coast. Maximum sustained winds at landfall were 295 kilometers per hour, and the storm is now starting to pick up speed slightly. Forecasters at the U.S. National Hurricane Center are calling this an extremely dangerous and life-threatening situation. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. Manitoba's Jamaican community is wrought with fear and worry tonight. While many have lived through past hurricanes, the strength of Melissa is like anything anyone's seen before. With more on how those here are handling the storm of the century is CTV's Joseph Bernacki. Joseph, I know you had a chance to speak with Winnipeggers today who have extended family on the island nation. What did they have to say?
Marilee, residents I spoke with are scared. A Jamaican business owner here in the city I spoke with says she's been frantically calling her family today before they lost connection. It's a terrifying time, and she has lived experience through a storm like this. Christine Pattison is frantically calling home to relatives in Jamaica.
And that's what I'm worried about, that you might not even have a house to go back to.
The Winnipeg restaurant owner says she's been on the phone for days checking on family in Kingston. She knows the dangers a monstrous storm can bring to her island. She lived through Hurricane Gilbert in 1988 when she was 18.
I'm really worried about them because I've been through Hurricane Gilbert. We didn't have any power for like 3 months on the island. When Gilbert was going by, we were seeing roofs flying. I never knew that rain could run.
And that was also a Category 4 hurricane. She worries her family is in great danger.
I can't imagine what's going to happen with Melissa when she shows up going 200 miles an hour.
Officials are bracing for the worst.
There will be catastrophic damage.
Nadia Thompson's aunt and uncle live in southeastern Jamaica, where flooding and landslides are a risk. She's been following Melissa's path for days, and she's certain the area will be impacted.
With this storm, it's definitely going to get washed out, which limits them having communication and also transportation to and from to get to basic necessities.
As Pattison gets ready to open Miss Christine's kitchen for the next wave of customers, her thoughts are with her family back home.
You just make sure so you stay indoor, nobody try to go outside.
The intermittent communication failures are keeping families here on edge as the now Category 4 Hurricane Melissa moves off of the northwest coast of Jamaica. Just how damaging the storm is will be revealed in the days to come.
It sure will. All right, thanks for this, Joseph. And stay tuned. We will have more coverage as Hurricane Melissa makes landfall and also hear from a Canadian who is in Jamaica right now. That's all coming up a little later. Enough is enough. That is the message from the transit union tonight after another driver was assaulted yesterday. It's the latest incident in an already violent year on transit. CTV's Daniel Helmerson reports.
A Winnipeg transit driver was assaulted on this route in East Kildonan Monday afternoon.
We have had the opportunity to talk to him. It certainly appears that he's still yet to fully process what has happened. He was treated for injuries in the hospital.
Transit Union President Chris Scott says the driver, a man in his 40s with about 18 years of experience on the job, wasn't seriously hurt, but Scott worries about the mental toll incidents like this can take.
We anticipate if he comes back driving at all, it'll be a long time before he's back or drive behind the wheel of a bus.
According to Winnipeg police, the driver was assaulted by a passenger around 2 o'clock Monday afternoon near Gateway and Springfield Road. When officers arrived, they found the injured driver, who was taken to hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. Chris Scott says the unions learned a weapon was involved. However, police would not confirm that.
We're pulling our hair out trying to figure out what action is needed to get this to finally stop.
According to the Transit Union, there have been 221 safety incidents on buses so far this year involving passengers or transit employees.
Roughly 90 are attacks directly to the operator. Actually, it's not even just operators. We are also having our maintenance staff attacked while they're out on the road trying to repair buses.
The 221 incident total has already surpassed last year with 2 months to go, and it's on trend to eclipse 2023's record of 257. Scott says the presence of police and community safety officers on transit is helping, but says full barriers are needed to protect bus drivers. Mayor Scott Gillingham says his thoughts are with the driver and his family, and vows the city's working to make transit safer for everyone.
We certainly are in ongoing conversations with the union. They do have shields now, like half shields. We talked about moving to some full shields as well. Again, don't know the details of this incident, but our conversations continue with the union as well.
Daniel Halmerson, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The Winnipeg Police Service's Major Crimes Unit is investigating. No word yet if a suspect has been identified or arrested. A police spokesperson says more information on this incident will come out tomorrow. Well, if it wasn't for Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe, Ottawa's new bail reform bill would likely look very different.
Without his advocacy on behalf of some of the voices that you see represented at the microphone today, I very much doubt that this measure would have made its way into the legislation. Good idea.
As part of the Liberal government's bail reform legislation, people who target first responders will see stiffer penalties. It's part of a new set of aggravating factors being applied to offenders involved in organized retail theft. When the bill is passed, the accused will have a reverse onus, meaning they will have to demonstrate they don't pose a public safety risk.
The combined impact of these two reforms on first responders and on high-volume offenders is going to improve the quality of life in our communities right across the country. And I would hope actually free up the justice system and those on the front line so we can ensure that paramedics can be focused on saving lives, that firefighters can be focused on fighting fires.
Critics have warned this bill could increase the amount of people in jail at a time when many jurisdictions, including Manitoba, are dealing with overcrowding. Manitoba Justice Minister Matt Wiebe says there's capacity in the system to accommodate the numbers we currently have and is committed to investing more into the system going forward. The city is about to evict a beaver who has built a home here in Winnipeg. In a post on social media, North Kildonan councillor Jeff Broati says the city is removing a beaver dam near Henderson Highway and Bunns Creek. In order to accommodate this work, city crews will temporarily be closing down a section of the Centennial Park Trail. A city spokesperson tells CTV there are no beavers currently active at this dam. However, the dam caused some localized flooding earlier this year, which impacted the trail system. They plan to remove it using a backhoe or excavator at some point this fall before it freezes. Broati says signs will be put up before the closure to warn people. All right, Colleen Brady-Jones us now with a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. I feel like I've been saying rain, rain, go away forever. Finally, it got the hint.
It finally worked, Marilee. It's dry now tonight in southern Manitoba, but boy, oh boy, some areas were positively soaked. By comparison, some areas just got a sprinkle. We will show you some rainfall totals from across southern Manitoba. It was quite a range. I'll show you where that rain has gone. We will also show you what Hurricane Melissa looks like on our satellite radar coming up. But for now, let's take a look through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years. Cloudy in Winnipeg, cloudy across southern Manitoba. In the city, it is 7 degrees. Winds out of the northwest at 14 kilometers an hour. The pressure is rising and the humidity right now, Marilee, is 79%.
Thanks, Colleen. A day-long crime spree involving stolen vehicles, home break-ins, and 4 RCMP detachments ended with a man in custody. It all happened on October 20th. RCMP say someone stole a series of vehicles from Selkirk to Gimli to Fisher Branch, swapping one stolen vehicle for another. Mounties eventually caught up with the suspect after a break-in in the RM of Rockwood. Police say someone tried to enter a house by kicking in the back door, but the homeowners were inside and fired a gun at the suspect, who took off on foot. RCMP used a police dog and drone to locate the suspect and arrest him. A 27-year-old man from Selkirk is in custody, facing a dozen charges, including theft of a motor vehicle and break and enter. There were no reported injuries. Your utility bill could be going up next year as the city calls for sewer and water rate hikes. But the mayor says this coming increase is a far cry from the nearly 30% hike the city projected earlier this year. CTV's Danton Unger joins us now live with the details. So Danton, why does the city want to increase water and sewer rates to begin with?
Well, to cover the cost of the final phase of the $3 billion North End Water Pollution Control Center project. The city had previously projected utility bills could increase by 28.5% in 2026 and 17.3% in 2027. But these hikes were rejected by council, forcing the city back to the drawing board. Now the city has put forward a new plan with substantially lower increases, 2.8% in 2026 and 4.2% in 2027. For a household of 4, this will add an extra $44 to your bill next year and another $68 the year after. Now, as for why the city was able to reduce the hike, Mayor Scott Gillingham says he is banking on the provincial and federal governments providing a combined $994 million for the final phase of the project.
We've been in very good negotiations with the province of Manitoba and the federal government for several months now on the third and final phase of the project. And we're confident that both levels of government will be at the table with their share of funding, and we look forward to sharing more news about that in the months ahead.
Now, if that funding doesn't come through, Gillingham says the city would have to introduce higher rate hikes. As a part of this plan, the city will also take on a $468 million long-term debt over 50 years, plus another $79 million in financing to cover its portion of the costs for this phase of the project. It's all expected to be completed in 2032.
All right, Danton, the big question: when will homeowners see these increases on their bills?
Well, yeah, Marilee, the whole plan still needs council approval, but if it passes, the rate changes will take effect on January 1st.
All right, thanks for this, Danton. A for sale sign is up at the corner of Portage and Furby. The developer behind a 20-story apartment building is selling the property where the project was planned. Approvals were granted back in 2021 when a city report said it would be the tallest building constructed outside of downtown in more than 35 years. But as CTV's Jeff Keel shows you, the lot remains empty and the land is now on the market for millions of dollars.
The tallest building constructed outside downtown in decades was supposed to rise here. But after 4 years, no shovels have hit the ground on the site, which is now for sale.
I am not surprised that that is still an empty lot on Portage. I'm disappointed.
In 2021, the lot was rezoned for a 20-story apartment building on Portage Avenue at Furby Street. A 2022 city report said it would have 241 units, a restaurant, and 4 commercial spaces on the ground floor, plus a rooftop garden on the 5th floor.
Building of that scope would be a revitalization for that area, so close to the University of Winnipeg.
At the time, construction was estimated to be done by 2025. Now the developer behind the project, P3, is selling the lot. The listing price online is $6.5 million, and the property's proximity to the U of W and downtown, plus previous city approvals, are touted as advantages. P3 Realty is pleased to present a rare shovel-ready opportunity to deliver a landmark mixed-use rental development in the heart of Winnipeg, fully rezoned and entitled with all required variances in place. The city says the variances have expired and any new owner would have to reapply for them for the same development. Still, the rezoning remains in place, which the city's Property and Development Committee Chair says is a selling feature.
This isn't uncommon when we see some of these properties that sit and it just doesn't work out for the individual landowner. I'm confident that something's going to be built there in the near future.
The area councillor and former property and development chair is not shocked by the sale. She says the economy is not doing developers any favors.
It's been a struggle with construction inflation and more to get the cranes in the sky, and we have so many, and that is a credit to the hard work of the industry.
P3 declined comment. Jeff Keel, CTV News Winnipeg.
Investigating an unusual crime in rural Manitoba. What building thieves broke into and what was stolen? Taking a look at the markets tonight, crude oil is down $1. The Canadian dollar gained 0.2 cents. Gold futures lost $36. The TSX added 143 points. The Dow Jones rose 161 points, while the Nasdaq is up 190 points. Shoal Lake RCMP are trying to identify people who broke into Strathclare's fire hall. It happened this past Wednesday. RCMP say someone broke into the community's fire hall and caused significant damage inside. They believe the same suspect then stole a truck, trailer, and a utility terrain vehicle. Police later found the trailer and UTV about half a mile outside of Russell. The stolen truck was recovered in a parking lot in front of a Russell business. RCMP are now looking for these two suspects. They were last seen driving a white motorhome with a decal on the top. It's believed they could be driving west towards Saskatchewan. Anyone with information is asked to contact RCMP or Crime Stoppers. Jamaica is on high alert and preparing for the worst as Hurricane Melissa unleashes its full fury on the island nation. CTV's Scott Hurst has the latest.
It is a storm likely being watched very closely by a whole lot of Canadians who are either from there originally, still have lots of family and friends there, or like to vacation in Jamaica. But right now, there is significant concern about widespread devastation.
This is what's going to be a generational storm for Jamaica and potentially even eastern parts of Cuba.
The island nation is bracing for catastrophic damage, the worst storm in Jamaica's recorded history to officially make landfall. Residents and tourists alike are being told to brace for impact. It is an extremely dangerous storm and a potentially life-threatening situation. We spoke to a Canadian in Jamaica now hunkering down at a resort, but getting home might take some patience.
We have a plan A to go on Wednesday, which is our original flight out, but we do have a plan B to leave on Saturday. The airport's closed until Tuesday.
After pummeling Jamaica, Melissa will take aim at Cuba, still as a powerful hurricane. Other islands in the Caribbean are also being impacted, including Haiti, the Dominican Republic, as well as parts of Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. Even before landfall, Hurricane Melissa is being blamed for 7 deaths in the region, including 3 in Jamaica during storm preparations. Scott Hurst, CTV News, Toronto.
In the Middle East, the Israeli military launched a barrage of attacks in the Gaza Strip today, more than 2 weeks into a fragile ceasefire. Health officials in the territory say at least 2 Palestinians were killed. The order from Israel's prime minister was issued after an Israeli official said its forces were fired upon in southern Gaza and after Hamas was accused of returning the wrong remains in the process of returning hostages. Hamas denies any involvement in the gunfire in Rafah. Canada Post says it's laying off dozens of its managers as it tries to restructure the company. The exact number of employees to be laid off is unknown. Thousands of postal workers remain on a rotating national strike, and last month the government said there would be major changes to Canada Post, calling it insolvent. Prime Minister Mark Carney is in Singapore today. It's his second stop on a 3-country visit to Southern Asia. Carney is working to expand trade in the region as a key part of his economic strategy. He's meeting with the Prime Minister of Singapore and other business leaders. Next, the Prime Minister goes to South Korea to attend the APEC summit, which is the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation meeting. 50,000 striking teachers in Alberta are being ordered back to work. The province issued the notwithstanding clause to pass back to work legislation.
This is not a step any government takes lightly, but it's one we must take to ensure that no further irreparable harm is done to Alberta students as the result of the ongoing strike.
How do they feel about forever being tarnished in their own political legacies by being part of the first government in Alberta's history to override the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in advance?
Alberta is imposing a contract that was rejected by the Alberta Teachers Association last month. The government says students could be back in class as early as tomorrow.
World Series fever has hit Winnipeg. Still to come, we'll chat more about the impact here. In the meantime, let's play ball! You did great.
Well, enjoy the sunshine tomorrow because we cloud back over as instability is the name of the game for weather in southern Manitoba. Low chance of showers on Thursday, 6 degrees. Halloween, it does look like it should be dry at this point and actually cloudy, so a spectacular forecast. 5 degrees, 5 again on Saturday. Mix of sun and cloud in the morning, clouding over in the afternoon, cloudy Sunday, low chance of showers up to 10 degrees, 8 on Monday under a mix of sun and cloud.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
High fly to center. Varsho back. Game over.
The LA Dodgers made it 2 wins in a row last night with a 6-5 win over the Blue Jays. The Dodgers now lead the series 2-1. But when the Jays take the field tonight, they'll be getting cheered on by a legion of baseball fans here in Winnipeg. CTV's Taylor Brock joins us now live from the Viscount Gord Hotel, where the Winnipeg Goldeyes are hosting a sold-out viewing party. Taylor, what's the mood like over there?
Well, I'm smelling a lot of popcorn, hearing a lot of chatter. People are excited for the game tonight, including Danny. Danny is actually a coach with the Winnipeg Goldeyes. Danny, what's it like to be able to watch this momentous game surrounded by baseball fans as someone who is a professional baseball coach?
I think it's absolutely amazing. The atmosphere here is great already, and the game hasn't even started. And the big thing about it is Canada's team's in the game, so you know this is going to bring so many more fans to the game, and it's an amazing, amazing thing.
Did watching the World Series impact you at all when you were young and your decision to get into baseball professionally?
Oh, for sure. I grew up in Etobicoke, and yeah, the back-to-backs are huge. Like, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't be in baseball. My uncles were big into basketball, but the championships probably just brought it home for me.
That's fair. I see that you brought a couple of young fans along with
my
you.
Kids, yeah.
Do you think, I know they are quite young, but do you think this kind of experience is going to be something they not necessarily remember, but be through their veins? I mean, you're a professional baseball coach.
Yeah, I mean, my son already, Otto, is just, he's swinging already, he's throwing the ball, and then, I mean, Viv, she's going to grow up with this life, so I don't know if she has much of a choice, but, you know, baseball is such a great game to live with and a great building for a person, you know, just to get them, you know, struggles, but also teach them things, life lessons as well.
So you don't have to be a superstar athlete to get into baseball?
Oh, no, not at all. Just pick up a ball, pick up a bat, go out in the yard and play. And then eventually, the more and more you do it, just like anything else, you're going to get good.
And so folks who are watching the game, they might be regular fans, but you can see it from a very particular view. How are you feeling tonight when you know that this could be potentially a pretty significant game for the Jays?
Well, this is a huge game for the Jays, especially because they're down 1. They need to split here, which would be huge for them. But yeah, like I think the Jays will win in 6, but who knows? Who knows?
Well, let's see. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, we've got that game happening in about half an hour actually now, merrily. Folks, I guess it's time to keep an eye on that clock.
Yeah, hopefully there's some coffee for all those fans because that was a late game last night. Or maybe they had afternoon naps. Whatever, yeah, whatever works. All right, thanks, Taylor.
Yes.
A flawless performance by the hometown team at the 2025 WHL Cup.
Breakaway, nifty move, scores!
Team Manitoba posted a perfect 5-0 record to claim this year's Cup, including a 6-1 victory over British Columbia in Sunday's gold medal match. It was the second time in the tournament's 12-year history Team Manitoba has taken the crown, the other being in 2023. Athens Shingus from Wew'suwakapo was named the tournament's MVP and was the scoring leader with 12 points. The Winnipeg Jets will be looking to get back in the win column as they take on division rivals, the Minnesota Wild, tonight. The Wild haven't had the best start to the regular season, but Jets head coach Scott O'Neill says they won't be taking anything for granted.
They're always good games. Certainly they have some dynamic offensive weapons over there, and we can't get into situations like we did at home the other night where we gave up easy opportunities, easy chances, odd man rushes, because they'll finish those off. So, for us, it's against a team like this, making sure that we make it hard.
The Jets enter the contest with a 6-3 record compared to Minnesota's 3-5. However, the two teams met twice in the preseason, with the Wild notching wins in both of those games. Both teams are also coming off losses, which D-man Logan Stanley says will put some added fire under their feet.
I think it's a mentality. I think it's good leadership, and we got a good hockey team in here, and we're not satisfied with losing hockey games. So, it's important to us to bounce back and respond when we don't have a good game or a tough loss. So, we want to have a good one tonight.
Puck drop tonight in Minnesota goes at 7 o'clock.
The Hockey Report, brought to you by Santa Lucia Pizza. Check out the game day special. CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
All right, Colleen Brady back now to share some rainfall amounts. I know it was a lot because I got standing water everywhere in my yard, but you've got some more precise measurements other than a lot.
That's right. And I had to cherry pick some of the communities that I'll show you tonight because Environment Canada released a list of communities that was as long as a phone book. You remember those, folks? So I had to pick a few. Now, the top 5 on the list there, under Winnipeg, of course, are the areas that were hardest hit, all in the southeastern part of Manitoba. Zoda topping the list at 45.2. But as for Winnipeg, it was a bit of a range, as usually is the case, anywhere from 23.4 millimeters up to 33. But as you make your way down the list, you start to see those lesser and lesser amounts as we move around southern Manitoba. The Interlake got a fair amount, but then closer to the bottom, that's southwestern Manitoba. By comparison, didn't see nearly as much. Brandon, anywhere from 3.3 millimeters to 4.8 there. It wasn't dry by any means out in the southwest, but certainly not as much as we were soaked here in the southeastern part of the province. That has all now moved off into northwestern Ontario. Some of it actually moved up north into Island Lake, but really this is just the tip of the spear, if you will. It was a trough of low pressure that brought the precipitation on our side of the international border. Really, that low pressure system is moving more so through the U.S., and that's where we're seeing that rain continuing to fall tonight through Minnesota and even further south, just basically swallowing up pretty much all of the state of Iowa in rain. Back up on our side of the border, again, this slow-moving system will continue to plod along further east into Ontario. Meanwhile, back in Manitoba, after some pretty strong northwest winds earlier today, they are backing off now, and the sky will be clearing out across much of the province tonight. It will be a brief reprieve before the next round of unsettled weather starts to make its way in. But until then, we get into tomorrow morning, some light cloud up in the northwest there, but you can see abundant sunshine down here in the south. But that comes with a bit of a trade-off. It will be colder tonight in southern Manitoba than up north. I'll show you those forecast temperatures in just a moment. Throughout the day, cloudy in the north, sunny in the south, and then as we make our way a little later on into the evening, you see clouds really start to build up in southern Manitoba as well. Out ahead of this next system that's going to bring mixed precipitation to parts of southern Manitoba, up into west central regions and into the northwest as we get into the day ahead on Thursday. So as for Jamaica, I want to take you back down to that area. Here's a look at Hurricane Melissa, downgraded from a Category 5 to a Category 4, but still capable of devastating damage. You can't even see the country underneath it. So here it is. I've circled it. There's Kingston and Montego Bay for reference. And as we've already reported, next up, this storm is heading toward Cuba and then onward toward Bermuda. So still just a devastating situation in the Caribbean. Back up in Winnipeg for tonight, we slip below freezing, down to -1 here. Mostly clear, but watch out for the possibility of fog developing overnight. Winds light out of the west, so we could see some fog early into the commute, but otherwise it should be bright and sunny tomorrow morning. Wednesday, 0, a little chillier than it was this morning. Light winds out of the west in the morning. They'll flip and come out of the south in the afternoon, but still stay light on the way to that high of 8 degrees. Up into the north tonight. Now, Churchill, it's misty in the town of Churchill right now, but in the region, any rain there or any fog will end early this evening. Drier through Gillam and Island Lake tonight. 3 in Island Lake, Thompson down to 1. Cloudy tonight. Those clouds stick around there tomorrow, right around the region, 4 or 5 degrees into Thompson as well. Over in the northwest tonight, some light rain showers in Lynn Lake expected to flip over to flurries, dropping down to 0 there. Above freezing for the rest of the region, dry and cloudy. Cloudy tomorrow across the northwest, highs between 4 and 7 degrees. In the southwest tonight, it will get clearer later tonight, but look at these temperatures all the way down to -5 for Brandon and Ipawa, Dauphin and Swan River -3 and -2 respectively. Mix of sun and cloud tomorrow, highs of 9 and 10 degrees. Over to Winnipeg in the southeast, watch out for fog overnight, but the sky otherwise clear. We drop just below freezing all around the region, -1, -2. Sunny tomorrow, highs of 8, 9 degrees, and in northwestern Ontario. Any shower activity you're still seeing in Kenora and Fort Frances will end fairly early this evening. Pretty cloudy after that. Mix of sun and cloud in Kenora. Cloudy for Dryden and Fort Frances all ahead tomorrow. Our first weather photo takes us near Blumenort, Manitoba. That photo is from Hilla. Now, Diane is here in Winnipeg. She took this next photo you see here. She's in Charleswood. She sits with her dog Rosie every night to watch the sunset, and she captured this one for us. Send us your weather photos to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The CTV Skywatch Pick of the Day is brought to you by MJ the Musical at Centennial Concert Hall, November 5th to 9th.
Alive's newly opened Buffalo Crossing isn't just exciting Winnipeggers, it's turning heads around the world. Buffalo Crossing has been recognized with an award from the Switzerland-based Wholesome Foundation. The project, designed by Stantec Architecture, is one of just 20 winners around the world. The awards recognize projects with outstanding examples of sustainable construction and design.
It's unbelievable. Like, it's really exciting, and we're just thrilled. Like, to be one of 20 projects in the world that have received an award is absolutely fantastic for Winnipeg and for Manitoba. It's a real accomplishment for us.
The award will be presented in Venice, Italy on November 20th. Manitoba's Remembrance Day Poppy campaign begins this week.
First poppy. Thank you, and it's an honor to receive it.
Lieutenant Governor Anita Neville today received the first poppy of the annual Legion campaign. Making the presentation was the president of the Manitoba Northwest Ontario Legion Command. The poppies honor the more than 117,000 Canadians who died in the service of our country throughout the war.
Wear the poppy with pride. Honor those who have come before. Remember the contributions that many have made, and many have made the ultimate contribution, and hope that our young people don't have to make the same sacrifices.
Legion branches distribute poppies in return for donations. The funds go to improving the lives of people in the communities where the money is raised. The Legion's poppy campaign officially begins on Friday.
You lose time, you lose a sense of clarity.
A warning about a common activity, why using your phone to decompress may actually be doing some harm.
Get Winnipeg's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
The Bank of Canada will decide whether or not to cut interest rates tomorrow, and many economists expect the bank will look past strong jobs data and signs of stubbornness on the inflation front and deliver a second consecutive cut. Joining me now to share his thoughts is Moshe Lander, economics professor at Concordia University. Moshe, good to speak with you.
Hello.
I'm curious to hear where you stand. What are you expecting to see from the Bank of Canada tomorrow?
It does appear that markets are expecting a 0.25 percentage point cut. So usually markets are unemotional and clinical when it comes to making these sorts of predictions. So I'm going to go with the majority here and say that we're going to get that 0.25 percentage point cut. However, just to be contrary, I will say that I don't think that we really need that 0.25 percentage point cut for tomorrow. I would hold on to it until their next meeting, which is in early December, and I would deliver it then.
Interesting. Okay, what factors are at play here then that would, maybe lead you down that path?
So first and foremost is inflation, right? The Bank of Canada is responsible for keeping inflation between 1% and 3%. And save for that little blip in 2022, they've done it for the better part of the last 30 years. So no issues there. The inflation number right now is in that 1 to 3 percentage point range. So if they wanted to cut, they're certainly justified in doing so. But the bank is evolving from looking at just the CPI and looking at a variety of different CPIs. Some take out volatile food and energy prices. That's called core inflation. Some take a look at just the median inflation rate among that basket of goods and services. That's called the CPI median. Then they look at something called the CPI trim, and I could go on for the next 5 minutes telling you about all the different variations of the CPI that they're looking at. One of the things, though, that they're seeing is that some of these measures are above that 3% upper limit, and they're stubbornly staying so, as like you said. If that's the case, then that means that there is some inflationary pressure in the economy, and maybe the numbers we're seeing are being flattered by the removal of the carbon tax and by the removal of the counter tariffs by the federal government in the summertime. And so maybe that's making the inflation number look less threatening than it is. If I'm the Bank of Canada, I might want a little bit more data. I know I'm meeting in 6 weeks' time. So why not hold on to your last few remaining interest rate cuts until you're sure that what you're seeing gives you scope to make that cut?
All right, regardless of what happens tomorrow, with so much uncertainty in the air around tariffs, how do you predict things unfolding over the coming months?
Well, prediction, of course, is always a difficult game at the best of times. But when you have the current occupant of the White House being Mr. Unpredictable himself, it makes it really difficult, right? Last week, we weren't anticipating any future tariffs, and then an ad goes out during baseball playoffs, and now we're hearing that there's going to be an extra 10% added on. But even that extra 10% isn't clarified. Is it on the existing tariffs? Is it on all goods and services? Nobody knows. And so whenever you're trying to make a forecast, at the best of times, it's a bit of educated guessing. Now it's a little bit of blindfolded educated guessing. I think what you'll see, though, is that the average number is probably a good predictor. It's the range of possibilities, though, is starting to widen. So in economic speak, we'd say that the variance is getting bigger, even if the average itself is unchanged. That's really what makes it difficult, then, is that almost anything could happen in the next 12 months. And again, for the Bank of Canada or the federal government who's going to deliver a budget next week, part of the exercise is trying to imagine the possible outcomes and what it could mean then in terms of their predictions and the things that they're basing their decisions on.
Moshe, I always love to get your take on these things. Thanks so much for sharing it with us tonight.
Anytime.
Is poised to lose its status as a measles-free country as an outbreak which began in New Brunswick hits the one-year mark. Canada eliminated measles in 1998 and mandated that status for more than 25 years, meaning there was no ongoing community transmission and any new cases were travel-related. However, since October 27th of last year, the virus has spread to more than 5,000 people in Canada, including 2 infants in Ontario and Alberta who died. Experts blame declining vaccination rates as well as the disruption to routine immunizations during the COVID-19 pandemic. Do you find yourself endlessly scrolling on your phone to decompress? The habit has come to be known as doom scrolling, and it may actually be doing more harm than good.
Doom scrolling is when you become so intensely focused on social media that it becomes problematic. You lose time, you lose a sense of clarity in terms of what am I actually reading here and how is it affecting me?
Experts say doom scrolling can fuel stress, anxiety, and even disrupt sleep. Scrolling can lead to unhealthy feelings of comparison or lacking, leading to headaches and muscle tension. To avoid this, it's suggested you set screen time limits with an alarm to signal when your screen time is up.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manukin Koster Denture Clinic.
A surprise concert inside a Winnipeg bakery. Why a small army of cello players popped up across the city today.
Spotlight sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Serena Ryder, the Merry Myths Tour.
Customers at a Winnipeg bakery were treated to the incredible smell of freshly baked bread and the heavenly sounds of cello music today. Cottage Bakery and Eatery doesn't always have live cello music. This was a special pop-up performance, one of several that happened at random locations around the city. It's part of the kickoff to the 25th anniversary of the International Cello Festival of Canada, taking place in Winnipeg. The festival runs through to November 1st. For information and tickets, you can visit agassiefestival.com. Charlie Crockett, a rising star in the country music world, is coming to perform in our city.
I'm taking me a midnight run.
Charlie Crockett is a former street busker who has grown into a Grammy Award-nominated star, and his music is resonating with fans around the world. His songs have had hundreds of millions of streams, and he recently played the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. Now he's going on a major tour across Canada. He'll be performing in Vancouver, Toronto, and here in Winnipeg on February 26th at the Burton Cummings Theatre. Tickets go on sale Friday at 10 through livenation.com. A Canadian singer-songwriter is stepping away from performing. In a social media post, Nelly Furtado says she plans to focus on other artistic endeavors that, quote, better suit this next phase of life. The 46-year-old has been touring in support of her 7th studio album. Furtado is also marking the 25th anniversary of her first release, Whoa Nelly, and says seeing a new generation of fans enjoy her music has been, quote, surreal and joyful. A popular hit maker, a Canadian singer-songwriter, and some Manitoba musicians are among the nominees for the Songwriters Hall of Fame.
Of a nobleman, Ophelia lived in fantasy.
Taylor Swift is on the ballot for the 2026 class. She's on the ballot with Kenny Loggins, LL Cool J, Pink, as well as Canadians Sarah McLachlan and the Guess Who's Randy Bachman and Burton Cummings, who are returning nominees. The Songwriters Hall of Fame was established in 1969 to honor those creating popular music. Members have until December 4th to vote for up to 3 nominees in each of 2 categories. Jon Stewart says he wants to stay on as host of Comedy Central's The Daily Show after his current contract expires in December. Speaking at the New Yorker Festival in Manhattan Sunday, he said, quote, he's working on staying. Stewart first hosted The Daily Show from 1999 to 2015. He returned last year to host its Monday episodes. Correspondents with the satirical newscast have been taking turns filling in as host during the rest of the week. Stewart is one of the biggest stars on cable and outspoken in his opposition to President Donald Trump. He's also been equally outspoken about his support of late-night comedy. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with MasterChef Canada. The Traders Canada follows at 8, and High Potential is next up at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
When you set a goal for yourself, your flying takes on a different perspective.
Soaring into the record books, how many records were broken down at the Winnipeg Gliding Club during this year's high-flying season?
It's spooky season, and we're looking for a Halloween house to feature on CTV Your Morning Winnipeg. If you think yours fits the bill, you could win a $500 gift card from St. Mary's Nursery and Garden Center and have the chance to show off your Halloween house live on Your Morning Winnipeg on October 31st with a visit from Ainsley McPhail. To enter, head to our contest page at ctvwinnipeg.ca, fill out the form, and submit some pictures.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
7 degrees in Winnipeg right now. The sky's starting to clear out. The wind's easing up out of the northwest at 13 kilometers an hour. Temperature didn't move much throughout the day. The lowest temperature earlier was 7, the highest 9. The record set on this day back in 1903, 20 degrees on the nose. Tonight, down to -1. We're clearing out now, but watch for fog developing overnight. The ground is wet. The winds will be light and the skies will be clear, so fog's certainly possible. Friday, I'm jumping ahead merrily. Friday's Halloween. Wednesday, we have to go to Wednesday. Sunny there, 8 degrees, 6 and cloudy on Thursday with a low chance of showers. Then we get to Friday, which is Halloween. 5 degrees for trick-or-treaters heading out late in the afternoon, but should be dry. Increasing clouds Saturday afternoon up to 5 degrees, 10 and cloudy Sunday, 8 on Monday.
Thanks, Colleen. The flying season has landed for the Winnipeg Gliding Club out in Starbuck, but not before one of its members set not 1, not 2, but 5 records.
These were some of the best flights ever in my over 50 years of flying. And as it turned out, I set some records. I wasn't really aware that I was setting records, but Mike Maskell approached me one day. He says, hey, you broke a Manitoba record. And I go, really?
That's Tom Weir from Thunder Bay, who flies with the Winnipeg Gliding Club. After spontaneously breaking that first record, Weir set his sights on breaking others and now holds 5 new Manitoba records. Among them are for fastest speed around a 500-kilometer triangle and fastest 100-kilometer flight in a straight line. Some of the records date all the way back to the 70s and 80s.
Those were in gliders that didn't have the performance specifications that we have now. Back then, a high-performance glider might be in the 30-to-1 glide ratio range. Now they're into the early 40s, 42, 43-to-1, which means if you had 1 mile of altitude, in theory, you could glide 42 miles. So it's, again, the technology and the advancements in construction of the gliders.
That's club president Mike Maskell, who says he expects even more records will be broken next season, which, in case you're wondering, kicks off as soon as conditions allow in the spring. Don't quite know just yet, but
a few weather conditions to go through first.
But congratulations to Tom.
Great
Very
job.
impressive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
More records
Next
to
year's
come, no
another
doubt,
year.
Tom.
Yeah. Break your own records. All right. That does it for us tonight. Have a great evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow.